Hi, welcome to this first introductory video for RoomTracker. As you can see here, I've got an empty reservation pad, which is this area here we call the reservation pad, indicating the days across the top and the rooms down the side. Over here we've got the calendar. This calendar, it can be used for quickly jumping from month to month, or you can click on that to go to today. If you're running Windows 7 and above, when Microsoft have introduced a new feature into this calendar where you click on this date and it will give you all the months, so you can click onto there and go to jump straight to August, or you can click again and on the year, and you can take you to different years in the future, or you can click on the square box to go back to today. Got another calendar here which if you aren't running Windows 7 or if you're not running up an operating system less than Windows 7, this calendar will do basically the same thing. This button here will let you jump into a year in the future. This one will do it by month, and conversely the same for that. These ones will go backwards. So let's jump back to today, which is May. Okay, across the top here we've got some coloured items. These are your reference legend for what state a reservation is currently in. You'll see more of that as we go. Across the top here we've got various menu items that you're able to use. We'll come back to those. Most of these menu items across here are for things like financials, which are unpaid invoices, reconciled payments, age debtors, ones like that. These options we'll go into further in a different video. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is, if you've just got a booking for a reservation, is you want to create the reservation. So you simply select the time or the date that you want the reservation for. We'll do it for today. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can either do a click on the cell, right click and go add reservation. If we do that, it will do it for only one night. However, if you want to do it for a week, you can select those cells, and if you right click, go add reservation, and it's now added all the nights in. So there's two different methods for creating a reservation. We'll do it for, let's just do it for 2 nights. So we can use these up and down arrow buttons here to increase or decrease the time. And as you would notice, as I'm doing that, this date is changing here, so that changes as well. We've got down here the reservation state. So at this moment, this is a new reservation, so we've got unconfirmed, deposit paid, confirmed, checked in, blocked out. Now generally, if you've received a reservation, I suspect that in most cases it will be a confirmed, which is the reason you're putting it in there. So for this case, in this particular case, we'll just do confirmed. We'll keep things simple. We'll say they're confirmed. The room rate, well, we can select. We've got this alternate room charges window, which has got nothing in it. We'll cover that again in another video. For this point in time, we'll put in there. Oops. I'll just put in $150. There's no deposit, no discount, so the room cost is going to be $300. So over here we've got last name, first name, company. So you're able to type in a name. So if I type in mouse, if I now press either this button or press enter, it brings up the guest search. The guest search will now let you search through all the guests that have stayed before, because this may be a returning guest. You can search by surname, first name or company name. We'll leave it as surname, we'll do a search, and Mr. Bowser's stayed twice. So we'll double click on him, puts them in there. Now there were no address details for this for Mr. Mouse, but you can add those in. So if I make that oops, spell it correctly. So we'll leave that at that, and you can choose to fill this information in. If you want an email, email's probably important to get if you do have it, because this will be used when you send confirmation emails or invoices or any correspondence with the guest from here forward. You need to have their email address if you're going to email it to them. Okay. We won't worry about the internet login information. Credit card detail, you can enter in credit card information. I don't advocate the recording of credit card details, but that is entirely up to you. The credit card information is stored encrypted by default, so no one can get into your database and start looking at the information. It's all encrypted, and only I know the password. Down here we've got reservation source, so this will be where did you get the information from? How did you find out about the booking? So in this case it may have been via email. So they may have emailed you and said we would like to stay. If you've got any booking wholesalers, it may be you want to choose that it came via email, but it was from booking.com or Expedia or whoever. You can put that information in there. The reason for entering where this information came from, I'll go into in a later later video, I should say. At the moment I'm going to leave that blank because this is a fairly important option. Down here we've got notes. Now this is important to notice here. It says here these notes are for internal use. So in here you can put in something like last time this guest stayed, they left a mess, for instance. Now that information is for internal use. That will not appear on any guest correspondence. That is entirely for your notes, so that you know the next time that this guest comes, they left a mess last time, so you may want to add another $10 or $20 to their night of stay because they, just as an insurance or whatever, or it may be just, this guest likes blue milk, whatever you want to put in there, that's up to you. The notes that do end up on the guest correspondence are the guest ones. So now we've got here, these notes are for external use. So in here we can put in, don't forget to, we've now got free parking, or you can now park wherever, or whatever information you want to store in there for the guest to see. We won't put anything in there at the moment. There is an optional here if you've got users entered into the system, which we'll cover in another video. You'll be able to select who actually entered the information in. So if you've got multiple users of your system and you want to know who entered in a reservation at what time, you can make this field compulsory if you need to, so that would need to be filled in before they create a reservation. At this point in time we'll just keep things simple and we'll go create. Now we get prompted with a window, do you want to print the reservation detail or send the confirmation email to the guest? So we can either print the detail, email the confirmation, or do nothing. In this case let's just print the detail. Do you want to preview it first? Yes we do. And so here it is, the guest name Mr. and Mrs. Mouse, the address that I entered in, it's got their stay date, the room type, room number, the default type of the room type. That once again we'll cover that in another video. Reservation state is the confirmed, the room rate is that much, and this is how much it will be. So the rest of the information, so this is where that guest notes would have appeared if I put them in. At this point you can do a couple of things. You can go up to this button here and press print. You can export it to a PDF file. You can email it. You've got various ones. You can export it to Excel, to a rich text file, to a TIFF, which is just a picture. Export it to an HTML file. Most of the case, and you won't need to do probably. I mean, you could export it to a PDF, or you can now decide to email that report. If you don't want to email the report at that point in time, so now we'll just close this window down. You can actually come back to the reservation and go send a confirmation email by right-clicking on the reservation itself. So that pops up. So there's the email address. I'm not going to send the email in this point in time because this has got some. There's another video that will need to be created to cover this because it is quite. It could be quite detailed. So we won't bother doing anything just at the moment. So now Mr. Mouse is confirmed. The notes, as you can see here, the pop-up window here says last time this guest stayed they left a mess, so there's some notes that you can see in there. So now what we'll do is Mr. Mouse is turned up and we will right click on the reservation and we'll check and selecting chicken. Check the deposit value has been checked, so you may take a deposit from the guest as they turn up. That doesn't happen very often, but the option's there, and we'll just check them in. And now they've gone green, which is checked in. Before they were purple, confirmed, so now they're green. Right. So now what does that mean? Right. So now, if you've got RoomTracker connected to your phone system, any calls that the guest now makes will be recorded against their invoice. If you've got Traffic Tracker, one of our other products that is for internet billing and internet access, then their internet usage will be recorded on their invoice. So we'll have a look at that now. So at the moment we'll go and have a look at view the invoice. No guest has been raised to this invoice. No invoice has been raised for this guest yet. Would you like to create one now? Actually, no, I won't create one now. What I will do is I'll right click on the reservation again and I'll go add charge to account. So that brings up the add charge to account screen. So now we can decide, we've got a list of default products that come with RoomTracker preloaded. So we'll take, in this case we'll say, we'll just add an accommodation in. Normally this would happen overnight, but for the purposes of this video we'll just add it in there. We can add in so you can add in the quantity, you can enter in the cost. There's a little drop down. If you click on the wee box there, it drops down a wee number pad and it gives you the total over here. So if I was to change that to 2, it will change it to 300, but we'll do it for 1. You can add in a note in here for whatever reason it may be, whatever reason you may want to put in there. So we'll add that. We can now add another item if we want to, so we don't have to close it straight down, so we can go add another, and this time we'll add in a breakfast, and we'll say 1, and this has already got a preloaded value of 15, so we'll go add. Okay, so now we've got some invoice items, so now we'll go and have a look at view the invoice. So up here we've got the date, what it was for breakfast, the quantity, the GST and subtotal GST and total. No notes because we didn't enter any in. Now these notes are completely different to these notes. These notes are just something along the lines of, you could have put into, if we double click on here, we can put in here free breakfast, and we can change that now to 0 and update it. So now we've got free breakfast. Excuse me. But these notes down here are for the invoice notes. So these are the notes that will be available. The guest will be able to see. They're separate from the invoice line items. It's an actual note for the invoice. And in here it could be please remember to pay by the 20th, whatever you'd like it to be, and you tick this box here to update the note. So now if we print this invoice, in RoomTracker, every time you print, you will always be asked if you want to preview first. That saves paper, having to print things out, waiting for things to print out, and also it's good to be able to preview before you do anything. So let's preview that. So here we have the preview of the reservation that we printed. We've got the name of the motel, the address, so this is your address, the address for the guest. Over here we've got the room, if there was a voucher or an order number that would appear in here, the invoice number and the date. Down here we've got the invoice items, and in here you can see the note that I added in here for free breakfast, and this is the invoice note. Please remove it to pay by the 20th. It's interesting to note here too that if no information is entered into that invoice note field, this invoice note field will not appear. I'll show you that in a moment. But first we'll do the subtotal, GST and the amount down the bottom of the page. Thanks for staying with us though, that's your invoice footer. We'll go into that again. So if I just close this again out, and so if I take that out, update it and print it now, yes we do, and that doesn't appear in there. So it's only going to appear if and when it's necessary. Once again, we can email this invoice off, so the guest may have left for whatever reason and they've rung you and said, hey, can we please get a, can you please send us the invoice? I've lost it. You're able to click on here and send off the email address, send off the email to the person, which will have the invoice in it. Once again, we'll cover invoicing in a later video. You can now add a charge or add a payment. So now if you want to, you can go and add a new charge, so you can go and add more items to the invoice. If they've got, if the guest has got any phone calls, you're able to have a look. There's no calls made, so that's fine. So let's close that down. So now the guest, for some reason something's happened to the guest room, and you've had to move them from room 2 to say room 6 because that's the only other room you've had available. May have been a flood or something. What you're able to do is right click on the reservation and select move. Now what you get presented with is the available room, so it knows what dates that the guest is staying for, and it shows you all the rooms that are available. Now it may be that you have, in this case, the you only want you've had to upgrade them for some reason. So it's a double studio, for instance. So it will only show the room types that are of the rooms that are a double studio type. So let's pick room 6, and we'll go update. Are you sure you want to move this guest from room 2 to room 6? Yep. Now it pops up and says, hey, you're about to change the rooms. The rates per night are different. What do you want to do? Do you want to charge them a new rate, which is 0, but don't worry about that, or we don't want to change it? No, that's right, we're not going to change it. And we hit save. And now the guest has moved down to room 6. So what will happen on the invoice in that situation, if the guest has stayed for a night already, as I mentioned, this accommodation is automatically added at night, and in the notes it actually says what room it was, so it would have said room 2. The next night it will show accommodation over here, as an invoice line, but over here in the notes it will say room 6. So it will actually does show you that they stayed in room 2 and then went to room 6. They may have upgraded for whatever reason, but it's visible on the invoice as to what happened, because there may have been a rate increase. Being able to move the reservation, you can do that pretty much at any time. If I create a new reservation here, I'll just use Mr. Mouse again. See, that time I chose the most recent mouse, and it's populated as details for us that I entered in earlier on. So we'll just create that. No, I don't put the information now. So we've got Mr. Mouse in there. He's unconfirmed, but actually he's we need to shuffle rooms around for whatever reason, so we could click on there I'll right click on him again and go move, and we'll move into room 10. Update. Yes we do, that's fine, save, down to room 10. So you can do that at any time. The only time you can't move a reservation around is when the guest is checked out, for obvious reasons. We'll just delete that reservation. Okay. What you'll notice now is what I've done is I've altered this reservation so that he checked in on Friday the 1st. The two reasons for doing that, if I right click here and go view invoice now, it actually shows me here that it's automatically added in their accommodation for them. So when I've moved the reservation, I changed the start date, restarted RoomTracker. When RoomTracker restarted, it went away and said, right, who's checked in, and have they got any accommodation invoice items for the nights that they're here. So it's gone through and gone, right, yep, on the first, there was no accommodation, so it's added it in. It's come in for the second and gone, no accommodation, and added it in. The third, obviously, that they haven't actually stayed this night, and we could probably just reverse that item just to clean that up a bit. So now we'll do we'll do a checkout. What RoomTracker does is when a guest checks out, now we've got them not checking out for till the next day, 2 days away before they check out, but for some reason they've got to check out early. If we do a checkout at this point in time, what will happen is the reservation will check out, will remove these extra nights and free up that room. So if I do that now, you want to check out the reservation from 6, yes we do. Now it pops up the invoice, so you've got a view of what's going on. You may want to do things like print, see if there's any calls made, just to make sure that the calls have been made and they're on the reservation. There won't be any in this situation. You can add another charge now if you need to, or because they're leaving you want to add a payment, so we'll add payment. Now in the view, items that are available to, that are actually, when we go to add a charge, add a payment I should say, click on the add payment button, and that will bring up the add charge to invoice, very similar, which is exactly the same as this add charge here, but this one in this case is now we're going to be adding a payment. So the products that are displayed are only items that will be ones that you take money for, so in this case cheque or credit card payments. We'll say credit card payment automatically knows that they stayed for 2 nights at $300, so we go add, and we can add another item if we want to, or we can just go close, and we go, so now we've done that, so they've paid, no balance to pay, go continue, processing checkout, and now the tracker has seen that the guest has checked out early and it's checked them out for today. So that means that now you've actually got some time that's free. So now if someone comes in as a walk-in, you've looking for a room, you've got the ability to add the new route, add them a new night's reservation item for them to come and stay. So now that that's reservations checked out, if I right click, you now get very few menu item. Right click menu items, you can open the reservation, you can now add a charge to the account because the guest may have left and you may have found something broken, you need to add a charge to their credit card. You can view the invoice, or you can delete the reservation. I don't recommend deleting a reservation when it's been checked out. It's not deleted, it is deleted from the reservation pad, so you won't be able to see it. It is in the database, so if you do accidentally delete it, it can be brought back. For that you would need to call us and we'll need to dial in and do that for you. It's not a process that we allow you to do. So that's the very basic process of checking a reservation in, adding charges, or creating a reservation, being able to send an email or print off the reservation details, checking them in, adding some charges, and checking them out. So hopefully that video gives you an idea of how quick and easy it is to use RoomTracker. We'll do some more videos very soon on how to use RoomTracker in some of the other features in RoomTracker, and we'll do that